What's up, ladies and gentlemen of YouTube? Boogie2988 coming at you live. Let's get through the power of the internet. Me and my wife and my friends just got back from watching Thor Ragnarok, and I am making a video review of this movie, as I always do when I enjoy a movie. I very rarely make these reviews for mediocre films that I didn't enjoy very much, and I don't make them very often for movies I hate. Maybe I'll make a Francis rage when I do. But generally, if you see a movie review here, it probably means I think you should watch this movie, and this is no exception. This, I think, is now my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universe movie. I think my previous one up to that was the first Guardians of the Galaxy. Second one was okay. First one was fantastic, though. I think this replaces it as my number one. And I'll tell you, that's very odd because I did not like the first two Thor movies at all. I was pretty bored through them. The first one was okay, established the character a little bit. The second one, I only remember a little bit what happens there. I mean, I liked Loki in that movie. Thor was okay. I remembered the ending of it. The rest of it was just kind of forgettable to me, unfortunately, which might not be the case for you, which means you may not like this movie. But let me go ahead and tell you, before we get started here, I'm not going to do any spoilers. First half of this will be spoiler-free. Before I say anything spoilerific, I will move this little poster to the other side. So if you see it on this side, you jump around to the film, know when I move the poster, you're going to start getting spoilers. I will say, I do want to presume you've seen at least one trailer, so I'm going to reference things that are in the smallest trailer. So you might expect some minor spoilers. If that makes you want to turn off the video here, let me go ahead and say, go see this film. If you like the Marvel Cinematic Universe, you're going to love this one. If you like the first Guardians of the Galaxy, I think you're really going to like this. It's probably one of the best Marvel movies they've made so far. So very, very minor spoilers. We're referencing the trailer. Let me say, this movie is fantastic. The trailer doesn't really seem to show you as much as they tend to in trailers these days. They don't really give away the whole movie. They gave away some really important elements, some of the characters that you're going to see, some of the actors that you're going to see, and some of the plot. But really, I was very surprised. Now, if you're familiar with the comics, I'm not, but if you're familiar with the comics, you'll know the storyline pretty well. And according to my friend Shay, who knows the comics, they were pretty true to form in a lot of places. So you're going to have at least a basic outline of what Ragnarok is and what it's supposed to be about, with some pretty big changes for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Specifically, I think the biggest change and the best part of the film to me is the tie-in with the Hulk storyline. I won't go into details until we go into the spoilers there, but the Hulk is definitely in this movie. It's one of the best parts of the movie. He's in a good portion of the movie, and I'm really, really glad. I was afraid it was only going to be a small cameo, similar to some of the other cameos you'll see in the film. But no, he is definitely a big part of this movie, and it's absolutely fantastic. I will say that it's a departure from the previous Thor movies, but I think that's something they needed and something that I wanted. It does feel more like a collaboration movie, like one of the Avengers movies. Doesn't really feel like Thor 3. It feels like, because there's characters from all over the place in this movie, either very small bits or very large bits, with a lot of new stuff as well, and obviously a good amount of it takes place on Asgard as well as other places. But I think this is a must-see film. If you enjoyed anything in the trailer, it is way better than the trailer makes it out to be. And I already thought it looked fantastic. I was obviously on board the moment Hulk appeared in the trailer. But it is as stylized and as beautiful as it appears in the trailer. The characters are perfectly acted. It's perfectly written. The score is amazing. Again, they really borrowed from the Guardian of the Galaxy mindset and really did an incredible musical score here, as well as just borrowing music from pop culture as well, and did a fantastic job. So you really definitely should see this movie. I think if you're familiar with the comics at all, again, I think it'll bother you a little bit because it is a departure in a lot of places. But there are some scenes that are just so true to life, or true to the comics, that I think you're going to really enjoy it. It really develops the character of Thor way more than the first two movies did. And really, I don't know, brings him home and makes him a very likable character to me, which to previous points, he was just kind of there. He was just kind of there. And again, you should know going into this, if you love or hate the Hulk is a big, big portion of this movie. And I think you're going to be really, really glad because he's obviously my favorite character. I play Francis here on YouTube. Obviously, I can relate to the Hulk. I do have anger management issues. He does definitely always been my favorite Avenger and one of my favorite characters in anything ever written. So that said, go see this movie. Go see this movie. It's one of the best reviewed Marvel movies of all time. Currently setting at 95% last time I checked Rotten Tomatoes. So I think you're going to be very glad to see this, and I think you'll be glad to see it in the theaters, though I will tell you there's not a lot they can spoil for you. You don't have to worry about any crazy twists or turns or anything like that that's going to get spoiled for you if you don't see it in the theater. That said, let's get into the spoiler section. Dun, dun, dun. I come from the land of the ice and snow. Okay, there we go. Spoiler time. So, I'm a huge Hulk fan, and I am familiar with the World War Hulk storyline, but I've never read it. But I'm familiar with it from the pinball machines and references to it, and it's something I've always been fascinated with, because I've always wanted to see that movie. I just wanted to see that movie. With the licensing issues that they have with the Hulk character, we're never seeing that movie, and that sucks really bad. But this is as close as we're to get to it, and it is a bastardization of even my understanding of that storyline. But of course, they all end up on Sakaar. There's the epic fight between Thor and the Hulk, and it's everything I was hoping it would be when I walked in. And then the Hulk just stays. He's there for the rest of the movie, interacting with Thor and Loki and everyone else, and I was just so happy. I guess we're never getting another standalone Hulk, I guess, and I guess if we do, it's going to be messy and bad. But if they keep doing this with the character, I'm going to be really happy. When he got on that plane at the end of the Avengers, I had no clue that he was going to end up at Sakaar. I had no clue this is where we were going to go. I tried to avoid as many spoilers for this movie as I could, so as soon as I heard Sakaar, I was like, yes, that's where they are. Oh my God, the Hulk. We're going to see the Hulk. He's going to be the Grandmaster's champion. Speaking of which, the Grandmaster, Jeff Goldblum, playing Jeff Goldblum, as he always does. Jeff Goldblum, now with blue eyeliner. But I'm not familiar with the character of the Grandmaster. I don't really know much about him, but he does a great job here. I thought on Sakaar it was the Red King. I don't know, maybe they're the same character in some way or the other. I don't think they are. And obviously we didn't get the love story that you get from, but again, we're never getting that storyline. But Jeff Goldblum is incredible. And that really leads me to, I think, what sets this movie apart from the rest of it. They seem to have learned a lot from the Marvel Cinematic Universe, how to use music better and how to use the score better. And this score is really synthy and poppy and cool. My friend said it was the person who did the score for this is one of the guys from Devo. And if that's the case, well, then that makes a lot of sense why the music sounded the way the music sounded. It was fantastic. But they also really perfected that comedic style here. I think obviously one of the breakout hits for this movie, and I think he's going to be memed, is the guy who's made out of rock. I forget his name, and his friend. You know, they were two of the prisoners with jobs that play a major role in this film, and they are fantastic. They provide comedic relief that is not annoying, a la Jar Jar Binks. Maybe it'll annoy you. Did not annoy me at all. I thought they were fantastic characters. Every line, everything they did was fantastic. And that's true of just about everybody in this movie. And this movie seems to be cut scene for scene perfectly. But it does have that ad-libbed feel that the first Iron Man has. And I miss that about Marvel movies. I like the jokes. I like the comedic style. It's one of the reasons I prefer the Marvel Cinematic Universe over the DC Cinematic Universe, because the DC Cinematic Universe takes itself too seriously. And I really feel the first two Thor movies did kind of the same thing. They had their jokes, but they were more far apart and the fewer of them. And this is jam-packed with, drama, intensity, joke, drama, intensity, joke, drama, intensity, joke, drama, intensity, joke. Makes me feel like Thor is a very likable character. Which leads me to, again, another favorite part of this movie. Thor progresses more in this one movie as a person, as a character, as he learns more and feels more and does more in this one movie than he's done in almost all of the other movies he's been in combined. Whether it's the physical changes like the hair and the losing the eye and stuff like that, or just the fact that he personally and emotionally realizes he has to take up the mantle of Asgard because there's no one left and he has to do the job. He grows so much. That's what I think these standalone Marvel movies are supposed to be for. I love the group things, the Civil War and the Infinity War and the Avengers, and I love that and I want that. But in between these, when these characters get their own moments, I really think that those moments have to show character growth. And the Spider-Man that we see in Civil War should be drastically different from the Spider-Man we see in Infinity War. Because if we don't, then what's the point of having the in-between movies? And that's really what I think. I want to see all of these characters that get their individual films. I want to watch them grow. I want them to progress. I want them to bring new ideas and new things that happen to them that affect them when they rejoin the Avengers or rejoin whoever they are with to try to save the world again. I can't wait to see Thor with a new haircut and the new eye and to see how everybody reacts to that. And I hope that between now and then there's tons of big changes to other characters as well. And I hope that's what they continue to do. And that's another thing I really like about this film. They borrow so much from the cinematic universe that makes it feel cohesive. And whether it's the little Easter eggs or stuff like that, Loki stopping to look at the cosmic cube and presumably taking it, little stuff like that is so important for these films. But bringing in the Hulk and bringing in Doctor Strange and bringing in the worlds that they've created and tying them all together not only gives these, and they can afford to do that because they're paying these guys millions and they're making billions. So taking the time to do that really makes it feel like a universe, really brings it all together, makes it fantastic. Not just cameos, 30-second cameos. Stan Lee's cameos, fantastic in this film, isn't it? I love his cameos in every film. But when they do those, when they bring these other characters in, specifically letting the Hulk be part of this film, that's when it feels like such a cohesive universe, and that's when I really get involved, and I really enjoy it. And I know some people just want to see Tony be Tony, and they want to see Thor be Thor, and they want to see, Spider-Man be Spider-Man, but having, Tony Stark in the Spider-Man film and having a huge impact on Spider-Man, and having the Hulk be there to back up Thor for the last half of the movie, that's what they're really getting right. I really feel, and I think this is the best Marvel film they've made. Whether it's because they've learned so much about using music and using the soundtrack, whether it's about bringing in the comedy, whether it's not about tying the world together, or whether it's about making Thor a more likable, more interesting, more relatable character through telling this story that really, really means something. I mean, how much more could it mean? It's probably the last Thor movie, I guess. But they destroyed Asgard. Wow. You can't get more finalized than that. You can't get more character growth than that. It's the equivalent of killing, Ben Parker. It's the equivalent of it's making a drastic change to the character that will last with him. Remember, for God's sakes, they destroyed his hammer. I don't know if he'll ever get Mjolnir back. That's why I didn't use it as my little icon. I used the poster instead, because who knows? One other thing I do want to talk about, and I know this could be a bit of a debate, so I put it towards the end of the film. There are some powerful female characters here, and I have heard some people criticize them, saying, well, I bet they shoehorned them in, Well, obviously the villain, I believe, is the same as in the villain of Ragnarok, the comics. I don't think there was any changes there. At least I've not read that. I could be wrong. The other character that I hear is, shoehorned in is the Valkyrie character, which, again, I don't know. I've not read the Ragnarok comics, so I can't say for sure. Here's what I can say about the Valkyrie character. I'm not generally triggered by strong female characters. I love stuff like Shameless. I love Parks and Rec. I love strong female characters. They are very appealing to me as a person. This female character is one of the better written female characters in a show in a really long time. She has gone to Sakaar to fight, to enslave people, to drink, to forget, and die. That's what she says. I'm here to drink, forget, and die. She's a horribly flawed character. She's a female alcoholic. When do you see female alcoholics? My wife said this. When do you see female alcoholics in media? And here's the thing, females become alcoholics too. If you've ever gone to Alcoholics Anonymous, if you've ever been to Al-Anon like I was as a kid, there's plenty of women there. So why don't we see that more often? We see that on shows like Shameless, we see flawed female characters. We're so afraid to write flawed female characters, and this one is spectacularly flawed. And she's a wonderful actress, did a perfect job, and the character is very, very interesting. That's the kind of stuff that's never shoehorned in. Even if you did it, even if it was for some diversity checklist or whatever, I don't care as long as it's well written. And it's so well written. She's such an interesting character. I want to see more of her, and I'm very excited that they did that in this movie. So if you're the kind of person that's easily triggered by that kind of thing, then maybe this isn't the movie for you. It'll probably stick out like a sore thumb. Did not to me. It's the only reason I'm even mentioning is because I saw criticism of it on one of my favorite Reddits. So that said, easily my favorite Marvel film. Second, just above Guardians of the Galaxy 1 now. And again, the same things I liked about that movie I like about this. The comedic style, the huge character development, the use of music, just everything, and the visualizations. And one of the things that I think is so important about a Thor film is the visualizations. The CGI is incredible. Now, you got to remember, I grew up with CGI from the original Terminator. I grew up with, Terminator 2 CGI. And looking back on it, it's garbage, right? But when I saw the scene with the Valkyries riding down on the god of death, or the goddess of death, when I saw that, in the trailer, I thought, my God, that's what heavy metal, when they were drawing that movie Heavy Metal, that's what they were trying to draw. That's what they were putting on the front of every heavy metal album back then in the days. That was what they were trying to capture, and they capture it perfectly here. And I think we're at a point where a lot of the Marvel movies, but specifically this Marvel movie, every frame a painting, right? I think that's a Stanley Kubrick phrase, a documentary about Stanley Kubrick. Every frame of this movie is gorgeous. Gorgeous. Even the Hulk, which is, just very recently, we had a Hulk movie. In my mind, it's very recently. Some of you weren't even alive when we had a Hulk movie. But he looks terrible. The CGI is terrible. Not anymore. He looks fantastic. He really does. They really do a good job of making the Hulk look like Mark Ruffalo. They really do a good job of making the Hulk look like a living, existing creature. And I'm so excited about that. Maybe I'll get that Hulk movie. One day, maybe we'll get that Hulk movie. Probably not. But I hope that we do. So let me know if you think I'm right or wrong. Let me know in the comment section below. Have you seen it yet? Are you planning to see it? Is this one you're planning to skip? If again, I think it's okay if you don't see this movie in the theater because there's not a lot of big spoilers, but the sound is fantastic and the visualizations are fantastic and it's worth seeing on the big screen. I kind of wish I'd seen it in IMAX in retrospect, but there's no good IMAX theaters in Northwest Arkansas. Fix that, please. Please fix that. Otherwise, that said, I think we'll wrap it up here. I will say I'd not watched the Black Panther trailer. If you go see this movie, they will show you the Black Panther trailer. I knew nothing about that character other than what we saw in Civil War, and I did not know any of this weird stuff about where he was king or anything like that. Now that I've seen it, I think that movie's going to be pretty damn good as well. Let me know what you think about that as well in the comment section below. I always look forward to reading these comments. I will, again, I'm not a huge fan of the DC cinematic universe. I feel like sometimes they take themselves too seriously and they never seem to get it right. I am looking forward to the Justice League, and I will probably post a review of that, whether I love it or hate it, unless it lands somewhere in the middle and it's just boring to talk about. But this one, I think even the most harsh DC fan has to give this movie its props. They'll probably pirate it or something so that Marvel doesn't make money. But I was heavily impressed, and so was everybody that we watched it with. All of my friends were just blown away. Even my wife, who despised the first two Thor movies, she loved this one. So I think you will too. Guys, thanks for watching. I love you very much. I'll speak with you again soon.